this opportunity. I think it's Amber ever going to ask you this. So we're going to begin the service with Hine Matov, which is on page, 128. 128.
Hine Matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I think you all know me, Richard Paskin, and next to me is Katie DePasqua and Rona Brackett. So we'll try to lead a joyful service tonight. And it's hard for me to see, but is there someone here who might be here for the first or second time that we could introduce? Joanne, you have somebody next to you?
I have a friend who came with me from Michael's website. This is Monica Bell.
Oh, good, Monica. You live here in Napa? Oh, good. Ah. So while you're on page 128, you won't have to turn to 129 because it's actually facing it. And there's a song right at the next to the bottom one. It's called Ki Eshmeira Shabbat. If I will watch or observe or fulfill Shabbat, El Yishmereni, God will watch over me. Oti Liolam, it's a sign forever. Li'ol Me'ad, Beino Uveini, between me and God. So it kind of goes like this. Ki Eshmeira Shabbat, El Yishmereni. Ki Eshmeira Shabbat, El Yishmereni. Oti li'ol me'ad beino uveini. Oti li'ol me'ad beino uveini. So to bless the candles tonight, Kathleen and my wife Martha. And the candles over here. And that's on page 120. Kathleen's the hostess for the Oneg tonight, so make sure to thank her.
Oh my gosh. Takes an army.
Ooh.
I think I'll go take a little wax off of it. I hope I didn't get your hand.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu le'adlik ner shel Shabbat.
So there's a reading that I think is a nice one to begin the service with. It's on page 185. And if it's possible, we could do it responsively, meaning I'll do the first verse and you'll do the next, and so on and so forth. So 185. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for fellowship and friendship.
Thanks to express, hopes to nurture.
May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity.
May its threshold be no stumbling block to yonder straying feet.
May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness and harshness.
May the synagogue be, for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life.
Who can argue with that? Next, we have one more reading to do, which is on page 127. And this kind of reading explains Shabbat compared to the rest of the week. So again, responsively. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain.
On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share.
There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted.
On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation.
There are days when we act as if we care nothing for the rights of others.
On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal.
So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. And now we have to turn to page 138 for the Lecha Dodi. And in our synagogue, we do verses 1, 2, and then on verse 8, we stand and face the entryway. Shamor v'zachor b'diborecha hishmi'anu tila.
Lechadodi likrat kala. Pene Shabbat
Kabbalat Shabbat Bechuvenecha ki mikor haverach amei rosh nesucha sof maaseh b'machashavati la lechadoti likrat kahal Pene Shabbat Kabbalah. We rise, Gam besimcha ubetzahara emunei am segula voichala ikrat kala Pene Shabbat Kabbalah lechadodi likrat kala Pene Shabbat Kabbalah. So you can be seated. And on page 145, there's a reading, and this is a season of fall, and it talks about a withered leaf. So teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer, of the mystery of a withered leaf, on ripened fruits so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. And you
Teach
can.
my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days. Lest my day be today as the one before, lest routine set my ways.
Okay, and on the opposing page 144 is a Chatzi Kaddish. Yitkada v'yitkadash shemei rabba b'yamad divrach yirotev yamlich malchutei b'chayechon v'yamechon uv'chayedechol beit Yisrael b'gala b'gala uv'izman kariv v'yimeruam Yesh me rabba mevarach le'olam le'omei amaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha Le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran bi'alma v'imeru amen. So if we turn the page to 146, we can rise and we'll do the Baruch Hu.
La
And on page 150, we're moving along, is Ahavat Olam, everlasting love. Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha Ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadta. Al Kain Adonai Eloheinu, Vishchveinu uvekumeinu, Nasiach bechukecha, V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, Uvemitzvotecha, Leolam, Leolam va'ed. Ki em chayenu, v'orech yameinu, uvahem nege yamam v'layla. Ki em chayenu, v'orech yameinu, uvahem nege yamam v'layla. V'avatacha taser mimenu le'olamim, Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. And that brings us to 152, which is the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Vaed. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'derech u'shachbecha uv'kumecha u'kshartam le'ot ayadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha u'chtavtam amezuzot beitecha u'visharecha Leman tizkaru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kadoshim le'Elohechem ahani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem emet. So if we turn to 160, there's another prayer that we have into verse called Hashkivenu. Nu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chayim, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Amen. Shelter us beneath your wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things.
just
God wrong from right. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. Amen. Nice. So on the next page, 162, we have a song that we don't sing that often here, so I thought we'd include it tonight. And it's called Vishamru. And if you remember how we started Kiesh Meira, this is the same word, just in a different conjugation, if I observe. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasot et ha-Shabbat l'doratam berit olam. Shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasot ha-Shabbat l'doratam berit olam. Beini uvein v'nei Yisrael v'nei liolam. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasot et ha-Shabbat Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim v'et ha'aretz. Shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasot et ha-Shabbat l'doratam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi'i shavat v'inafash, shavat v'inafash, shavat v'inafash. Shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasot et ha-Shabbat berit olam. Instead of saying Shabbat v'yinafash, we could have sung, he ceased his work and rested. So it's another version of it. And we turn to page 164 and rise for the Amidah.
Adonai sefer tiftach ufi agite v'lakecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu Avotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor, Hanora, Elyon, Goneh Chasodim Tovim, V'koneh Hakol, V'zoher Chasei Avot B'yamot, U'megilulav B'livnei B'neihem, L'man Shemo B'yahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magin, Baruch atah Adonai, Magin Avraham Bezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh Hakol V'Mashiach.
Moshe Baruch U'Merit Agashem, Mechakel Hayim
Chesed, Mechayeh Hakol B'Rachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim V'Rofei Olim, Umatir Asurim,
So we continue silently until we get to page 180.
180.
So if you'd like to follow along, on page 178, we have Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav, O Yisrael Ha'ad, Tassim E'olam. Shalom Rav, O Yisrael Ha'ad, Tassim E'olam. Ki ata Shalom.
Ki atahu melech adon, v'chol hashalom.
Shalom
Rav
Yisrael Amcha, Tassim Le'olam.
Shalom
Rav Yisrael Amcha, Tassim Le'olam.
V'tov be'einecha livarech et damcha Yisrael b'chol eit u'b'chol sha'a b'shlomecha.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, Tassim Le'olam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, Tassim Le'olam. Tassim Le'olam.
Thank you. So on the next page, 180, is something that is at the end of the Amida, but it's something that I think probably all of us, we could say together and remember. And it goes like this. May God guard my speech from evil and my lips from deception. Before those who slander me, I will hold my tongue. I will practice humility. Open my heart to your Torah, that I may pursue your mitzvot. For all who think ill of me, cancel their designs and frustrate their schemes. Act for your own sake, for the sake of your power, for the sake of your holiness, and for the sake of your Torah, so that your loved ones may be rescued. Save with your power and answer me. Okay. So at this time, I think it's the appropriate time to give a drash. The Torah portion for this week is Vayira, and we're still in the book of Genesis, and the last thing that happened in the previous portion, which was Lech Lecha, Abraham actually circumcised himself. So you can imagine how he felt about that. So the portion begins with Abraham sitting outside his tent, and three strangers come up to him, And he immediately, even though he's in pain, he jumps up and he says, "Can I help you? Can I get you some water or something?" And they'll say, "Fine." And so then, which is probably kind of a sexist thing, he goes into the tent and he talks to Sarah and tells, "Vayimacher Avraham ha'ochel el Sarah." He rushes into the tent and goes to Sarah and tells her, "Make something, make some cakes, ugot." So that's the literal, what they call the peshat of what this little vignette is. But then what do we learn from it? And it's actually what this window is, if you can see it, the first one from the bottom is Hachnasat Orchim, which means to welcome visitors. The other thing that Abraham does, which I didn't really pay that much attention to until my son-in-law, he does the same thing. He walks you to the door. He just doesn't say goodbye. He walks us to the car. So this is, I think, a nice gesture of trying to welcome people, and maybe we can think of it as welcoming the people who are immigrants into our country in the same way. So that would be the drash part of it. So the next thing that happens, which is really, I think probably maybe the central part of the Parsha, is that God, there's these cities, Sodom and Gomorrah, which were doing apparently really bad things, and God was about to destroy them. And Abraham, he said, "Well, look, maybe there's some good people in this city, and you really should think about it." And he says, "How about if there was 50 good people, we just still destroy it?" And God says, "Okay, I won't." And then he says, "How about 45? And they go back and forth and back and forth. And then at one point, Abraham says something to God, which is really kind of a rebuke of God. And in Hebrew, it says, if I can find it. Something to the effect, I can't say it here, Hashofet kol haaretz lo yiseh tzedakah. So the judge of all the world is not going to be doing justice. He says this to God, which I think was kind of a bold thing to say. And what does this teach us? Maybe it's to be critical and, be able to talk to authority, what they say, truth to power, that not to be afraid if you feel something strongly, that you should do and say it. And the other thing it talks about is something that I imagine most or many countries think about when they are attacking another country or other people is collateral damage. So yes, there are bad people around, but do we want to destroy all these good people to get just a few bad people? And so it kind of makes us humble and think a little bit more about what we're doing and the implications of what we're doing. So I thought that was actually a good point, and actually a compliment to Abraham that he had enough guts to talk to God like that. And God actually didn't rebuke him, so I guess he accepted it. The third thing that happens, these little vignettes, are Abraham and Sarah are going and they meet up with this king, Avimelech. And Avimelech takes an interest in Sarah. And, interest would be more than just a platonic interest. And Abraham tells Sarah, well, listen, when you talk to him, tell him, I'm your brother, not your husband. Why is that? Because apparently if they had very strong anti-adultery law or feelings at that time. So the king would not want to commit adultery, so what he would have to do is to kill Abraham first. But if it was his brother, that's okay. I don't have to kill him. And in fact, he has a dream, the king, that very night, and part of the dream is that if you do anything to this Sarah, you're going to be in big trouble. So he decides, I'll give her back to Abraham and leave her alone. What do we get from that? Well, maybe the lying is okay sometimes if you have to preserve your life. I don't know. The fourth thing is Ishmael. Ishmael, is the son of Hagar. Sarah couldn't have a child, and so she said, okay, you can take this woman Hagar and have a child by her. So the offspring of Hagar and Abraham was Ishmael. So Ishmael was, at that time, his son, his only son. And then Sarah gets pregnant. She really can't believe that she's getting pregnant, so she calls it a joke, tzachok, and that's how the child is called Yitzchak. And so now they have two boys in this household, and Sarah is sort of thinking, well, wait a second, I want my son, Yitzchak, to carry on the tradition and be the inheritance and all that stuff, so we can't have this. We've got to get rid of Hagar and Ishmael. And Abraham has kind of mixed feelings. I mean, here's his son, and how can I drive him out? But then God says, do what Sarah tells you. I'll make a big nation out of Ishmael, who becomes a Muslim nation, as well. So what do we know from that, or what can we deduce from that? Something called Shalom Bayit. Shalom Bayit is like peace in your home. So sometimes you have to compromise. You may not like it, but just to have peace, it's worth making compromises. And then the very final thing, which is probably the hardest one to understand, is the story of the Akedah, the binding of Isaac. And this we read every Rosh Hashanah. So Abraham is commanded by God to take his son, and he says it's his only son, the son he loves, Isaac. Of course, it's really not his only son, is it? But he calls it that. Or maybe it's the only son he loves. You can interpret these things in many different ways. Anyway, he goes up to the mountain, and he puts Abraham on top of the wood, and he's all ready he draws out the knife, and then an angel comes to him and says, Abraham, don't do anything to this child, because now I really know that you have a fear of God, and don't do anything wrong to him. And then Abraham looks around, and behold, he sees a ram stuck in a thicket, and he pulls out the ram, and he sacrifices the ram instead of his son Isaac. And maybe that's where we get the ram's horn, when we blow the shofar. So how do we make any sense out of this story? I mean, what kind of God would ask a father to sacrifice his son? And what kind of father would sacrifice his son? And how come Abraham challenged God when he was about to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah? How come he didn't challenge God at this point when he was about to ask him to kill his son? So these are questions that no one really has an answer for, but maybe you have an answer. Does anybody have a feeling why? I mean, some people might say it's a test of loyalty, but it seems rather extreme. I mean, sometimes they do, maybe it's a fraternity or initiation rites where they put people through weird kinds of extremes, and if they pass that, then they can be part of the club or be part of the adult members of the society. But to me, I'm not sure exactly why this is in this section. Does anybody have a feeling about that? Guess not. So I think that was probably the main things I wanted to talk about in this parsha. So now it's time for doing the Mishaberach, and for me to read you the names of the people who are on this Mishaberach list, which is a long list. Ilana Massey, Kevin Brackett, Kirk Whitlatch, Kathy Ratto, Erin Ledden, Rachel Sadek, Michaela Cohen, Tracy Adams, Kim Stevens, Don Copeland, Nancy Pollack, Pat Shapiro, Denise Robinson, Rachel Friedman, Paula Schwartz-Perville, Marty Spitz, Judy Feiner, Megan Kirschbaum, Alenza Chavez, Ralph Garber, Aharon Yitzchak, David Margulies, Brooks Painter, Harriet Lehman, Melvin Goldstein, Shuri Levson, Robert Solomon, Mark Odenweller, Nancy Berman Brown, Rudy Zeidler, Avraham Yisrael Ben Shmuel Levi, Michael Deller, Steve Sager, Tom West, Marilyn Sazatka, Michelle Haas, Joyce Sheffrin, David Samuelson, and Doug Gill. So, was there any other names that you'd want to mention? Yeah? Okay, and back in the back. Are we missing some? Yes. Okay, everybody got their names in? So we can sing together the Mishaberach, which is found on page 511.
Our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishaberach imotenu mikor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
So if we turn to page 516, and the last part of that page, there's a prayer for our country, which I think is, our country is in a pretty chaotic state. So we can read that together. O guardian of life and liberty, may our nation always merit your protection. Teach us to give thanks for what we have by sharing it with those who are in need. Keep our eyes open to the wonders of creation and alert to the care of the earth. May we never be lazy in the work of peace. May we honor those who have died in defense of our ideals. Grant our leaders wisdom and forbearance. May they govern with justice and compassion. Help all to appreciate one another and to respect the many ways that we may serve you. May our homes be safe from affliction and strife, and our country be sound in body and spirit. Amen. And on the opposing page, we always think about Israel, and that too is in a rather chaotic state. O Heavenly One, protector and redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love. Spread over us the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness and joy for all who dwell there. Amen. So after that, we have the Aleinu, which is found on page 586. And we rise for that.
Aleinu Shabbat Laton Hakol Latikadua Leotzerishi Shalom Asanu Kego Haratzov Velo Manu Mishpachot Adama Shalom Sam Kalkenu Kanu Vegor Aleinu Kachol Hamonam V'nachnu korim u'b'shachalim u'modim Lifnei melech malchei hamlakim HaKadosh Baruch Hu V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai l'melech ha'aretz Bayom hahu Yeh Adonai Echad U'Shema Echad.
And you may be seated. And now it's time for me to call the representative of our Board of Directors, Michael Shevlin, to come up here and give us some of the announcements.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Yeah, thank you. Anyhow, there is religious school this Sunday, November the 9th, so don't forget that. The final pool day will take place on Friday, November 14th. Also, there is a monthly movie screening on Wednesday, November 12th at 6 p.m. The name of the movie is something called School Ties. So please register online if you're hoping to attend. Youth group will take place from 6 to 8:30 p.m. on Wednesday, November the 12th. There's also going to be a family service on Friday, December the 5th. Religious school students will participate in the service. Pizza will be served for the kids before services. There will be a regular oneg following the services. Please RSVP if you plan on attending the pizza dinner beforehand. And those family services are really nice. The kids participate, and it's kind of nice when there's a nice congregation attending it. So save the date for the CBS Hanukkah event, Sunday, December 14th. Again, Sunday, December 14th, 5:30 p.m. Shor Sheen will have its very first Music with Megan class on Sunday, December 14th from 9:30 to 10:15 a.m. It's a grown-up and me class for children ages 0 and 2. I guess the grown-up ages can be whatever they want to be. But the children, thank you, the children should be between 0 and 2. It's free for CBS members. Non-members, please register online. CBS is collecting food for the food bank. You may see some of the bags out there in the entryway there. If you or someone you know is experiencing food insecurity in these days, please contact Mara in the office, and you all know her number. Baked goods, not wine, but baked goods is the request of the moment. Help our own eggs to be even sweeter by contributing freezable baked goods such as cookies, bars, loaf, or bundt cakes, and brownies. Please clearly mark if your baked goods contain nuts or happen to be gluten-free. CBS will receive 80% of the sale price of any vehicle donated, and you need not live in Napa to participate. That's not a bad deal for everybody. You get a tax write-off, and the shul gets 80% of the sale price. The most recent CBS newsletter with information on all temple events is available on the CBS website, which is looking good nowadays, and a flyer for the upcoming events can be found in the lobby. Tonight's Oneg is sponsored by Kathleen Conroy, so thank you, Kathleen. We'd like to give warm wishes this week's birthdays and anniversary. So happy birthday, Irene Yesowich, Steve Gordon, Suzanne Mason, Julianne Codmer, Roberta Solomon, David Dell, and David Freed. And happy anniversary to Dave and Charlene DeBro, Mara Blevis, and Mike Edwards. Shabbat Shalom. Have a happy and healthy Shabbat. Thank you.
So before we do the Kaddish, there's a reading on page 597 that we could say, kind of get us in the spirit of the Yizkor. So in the bottom paragraph of 597, our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and life and death. So the Yortzeit list is for the people who've passed away in this past 1 year. Long list. William Hudson, Dave Folkman, David Ash, Diane Gallagher, Elizabeth Foster, Diane Rato Persolet, Lynn Posner, Shuri Bivas, Ariel Bibas, Kfar Bibas, Sharon Meyer Fuller, Wolfgang Schechter, Itzhak Elgaret, Sadiki Idan, Ohad Yachalomi, Shlom Mansour, Oded Lipschutz, Fran Dannon, Yvette Abitan, Barbara Gardner, Mark Reisman, Muriel Mikey Kopel, Joel Cohen, Ilana Goldman, Susie Frischman, Judy Lynn, Claude Roua, Alan Jerome Simon, Donna Schechter, Carolyn Goldman, Milo Benyona, Robin Frank, Mark James Milberg, and Joan Wilmert. And we remember the Yortzites of people who've died in this time of years past. Pat Warfield, Vicky Kazis, Elliot Kapchin, Meg Magnin, Rosalie Becker, Ann Nussbaum, Joseph Sorujan, Orville Cohen, Rose Sheffrin, Bernice Cabral, Gladys Shubin, my cousin, Elizabeth Heafy, Maury Sills, Margaret Gert, Estelle Yesovich, Marilyn Finkelstein, Jack Sidek, Ziva Sivan, Estelle Eisenberg, Guy Simon, Carl Lehman, Louis Landau, Rabbi Laurie Phillips, Donald Klein, and Michael Blend. So are there other names you'd like us to remember? Any other names?
Anthony DePasqua.
Okay. So we turn our books to page 598 and rise for the Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash me rabba, v'alma divrach hirute, v'amlich machute, v'chayechon v'yomechon, v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'yimeru amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevarach leolam leomei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudusha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran bi'alma v'yimru amen. Yehi shalom rabba min shamaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, v'al kol Yisrael, v'yimru amen. So you may be seated, and we'll close with what we just read, Oseh Shalom.
Oseh Shalom
Bimrama, Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu,
Ve'al Kol Yisrael
Imru,
Amen.
Oseh Shalom Bimrama, Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael.
Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ya'akol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ya'akol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom,
Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom,
Shalom Aleinu, Ya'akol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ya'akol Yisrael.
v'al kol Yoshe Thank you, Katie and Rona. And now it's time for the Kiddush, which is on page 123. And you can rise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kadsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron l'maaseh v'reshit. Ki hu yom techila lemikrei kodesh, zecher letziat Mitzrayim. Ki vanu v'acharta, yotanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kadshecha, v'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh Shabbat. Amen. And now the Chamotzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. B'tei avon.
You want to text us?
Yeah,
Sure. Thank you.
pleasure. So now we can adjourn to the Oneg room and partake of the goodies.